Joining us now is Democratic Senator Lisa Blunt Rochester of Delaware. Your reaction to the woman being carried out, can we put it on the screen? The lady is being carried out.
Yeah, let's do that. But I want to, because I want to connect something you actually, as we look at this, as you noted at a sit-in protest. If we can then move to that, because I think the juxtapositions of the image with what you said sort of solidifies the moment.
Right now, this country is facing a pivotal moment. What road will we choose to pick? People say we're better than this. No, we are this. Do we want to be better than this? What this sit-in is about is power. It is the power of prayer, it is the power of persuasion, and it is the power of the people.
Speak to both those moments, because they go hand in hand as an image of where the country is with the words of where the country needs to go and what it has to do.
You know, well, first of all, I want to start off by saying how grateful I am to be on your first show. This is a very powerful moment for me as well, particularly for the work that you do. And it's so pivotal in this moment, even just showing those images. You know, we know that even through the civil rights era, it was images that moved people. And so to see in the town hall with Representative Lawler, people expressing themselves and then them not being respected is one image. And what we're seeing is Democrats, Republicans, and independents are saying what they're seeing from this administration is unacceptable. Whether you are a veteran, whether you are a senior whose Social Security office is about to get closed, or whether you care about our national security and have been a witness to Signal Gate 1 and Signal Gate 2, the sequel. But then for us, that sit-in was actually an idea of Cory Booker, Senator Cory Booker, along with Hakeem Jeffries. And I got an inkling about the sit-in the night before, because part of what this moment is about is figuring out what is it that you can do. Not everybody is gonna march. Not everybody is going to run for office, but figuring out what you can do. And so we're looking at every single tool in the toolbox. But that night before, I got an inkling that the sit-in was going to take place, and but I didn't have the details. So Sunday morning, I'm in the bed, and my daughter runs in with a live stream and says, "We got to go." So we packed up the dog, packed my bags, and we went to sit in solidarity with Americans to say, cuts to Medicaid are unacceptable when half of the births in this country are through Medicaid. This budget that is being presented is unacceptable, and that we're going to have to not only pray, because prayer without works is dead. We're not only going to have to persuade, because it will require 4 Republicans in the House or 4 in the Senate, and it will require Democrats, Republicans, and independents fighting together, but it's also about the power of the people. And remember, I came in with Donald Trump in 2016. I was a freshman. We were in the minority. And so coming into the Senate with Donald Trump again, in the minority, I know that it was the people that really made the difference in saving even the Affordable Care Act. And that's what's going to make a difference today.
You're framing this budget as a question of morality and a question of priorities of this administration. When you talk to your Republican colleagues, there are a number of them who, I mean, they're not putting their name on it, but they're speaking to the press and saying, we know that this budget is a problem politically.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting, too. They keep punting. Like, when are they going to, put the thing on paper? We want to know, is it $880 billion in cuts to Medicaid? What is this? They keep punting. And I do think, again, back to that pressure, when you think about the tariffs and what is happening on the tariffs, the fact that in the Senate, we got 4 Republicans to come along with us on that tariff bill to say Canadian tariffs are bad, I think they're feeling it. But some of them, like Lisa Murkowski said herself, are scared, not just for a primary, but scared for their lives. And so in this moment, everybody's going to have to muster up whatever it is that it takes to say this is unacceptable.
Can we stay on that point? Because we have talked about this before. Senator Murkowski saying she was, afraid, and there are many people who are afraid. And I can understand that. I also, though, I know I was at nobody expects me to be out here defending Lisa Murkowski, but I will today. I mean, I can understand if she's saying she's afraid, because the full might of the White House, we know what happens when Donald Trump turns his ire onto someone. I'm thinking about Shay Moss in Georgia, the election workers,
Yes.
and her mother, Miss Ruby. I am thinking about, Miles Taylor, we just talked about. Should we have, are we giving a space and a lane yet for the people who are scared, some cover to be able to come out, come over and say, okay, we know you're scared, but you have the place, we will support you if you join us?
I think, first of all, her saying that out loud is important. Secondly, you think about whether it is the colleges and universities who said, we might not have major endowments, but we're going to come together as the Big Ten and say we're going to fight this together. I think finding those spaces, even the people who went to those Tesla dealerships, well, Tesla started to tank. Elon Musk is kind of moving on, we don't know. But it's really us understanding we're in this together.
You raised a really good point about tariffs, which is forget about the Barbies and the Hot Wheels. It is going to cause housing to absolutely skyrocket. And I think a lot of people have been focused on the materials but you have made the point that it will make home insurance more expensive, that it will increase interest rates. Given how central housing was as sort of a core economic concern in the past election, I don't understand how they think voters are going to give them a pass on this.
I don't either. The first bill I introduced in the Senate is a bill that would focus on the production of housing in this country. We know we have a crisis. The last time they did a framework like what we're proposing was in the 1920s. We don't even live like we did in the 1920s. Mm-hmm. And so it's actually a bipartisan bill. But the reality is, when we talk to the National Association of Home Builders, they say these tariffs could cost up to $10,000 additional to homes. It's our homes that we're seeing the increases. We haven't seen the cost of goods go down. All of the things that he promised on day one, we're not seeing. And so piece by piece by piece, we're seeing this puzzle come together. And even the idea of tariffs, I thought about, it's a tool. Sometimes you use tariffs. But in this instance, I feel like it's one of those concepts of plans. It was a concept, but there's no strategic plan. There's no strategy here. And the uncertainty, in my first term with him, the word was unprecedented. Everybody talked about this is unprecedented. It's uncertainty. Employers are saying they can't hire people because they don't know with these tariffs. And so it's affecting everything and everybody. And ultimately, I think that turns to voters. 2026 is coming. And so we have to keep the pressure on. We've got to continue to put forth good work. We've got to continue to find ways to do things in the right way. But at the same time, fear, you always heard that thing, is false evidence appearing real. This stuff is appearing real for many people right now. But if we don't step up, and in the way that works for you, I always say, Corey, the reason why he sat on those steps or stood for 25 hours, I say, I didn't stand for 25 hours, but I got a chance to, before he stood, I saw he looked nervous, and I prayed with him. Throughout the 25 hours, I would go touch his back, see, is he sweating, is he dehydrating, being there. Each of us have a different role to play. I won't go down in the history books for checking if he was dehydrated, but I know and I hope that I played a small part in that. And I think that each and every one of us can play our part in this moment.
Big mom energy checking to make sure he was hydrated.
Making me feel like, what? The people got it. It's all right.
Senator Lisa Blunt Rochester of Delaware, thank you so much for being with us.